Hello, how are you? There is a simple movement you can do after eating that can significantly reduce your blood sugar spike, without medication, without supplements, and almost no one explains how to do it. It's very easy, and you don't need to spend any money. You're going to love this video, so stay until the end because you won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you if you struggle with high blood sugar, if you have prediabetes, type 1, or type 2 diabetes, if you're trying to lose weight and because of that need to control your blood sugar as well. If you have polycystic ovary syndrome, many health issues can raise our blood sugar, and it's important for us to know how to control that. So write to me down below in the comments. I would love to see your comment. If you can, go ahead and like the video. That's really important to me. It shows YouTube that you support the channel, that you trust my content. And if you actually know someone who's out there struggling to control their blood sugar and wants practical, effective tips for everyday life, share this video. Let's work together to expand this chain of kindness. It's important for us to have a bit of an understanding of the logic behind what you need to do after eating. And why does what we eat have such a big impact on our blood sugar, right? When we have a meal, especially one rich in carbohydrates, like rice, bread, pasta, fruit, vegetables that have more carbs, and of course processed foods and so on, glucose starts to enter the bloodstream and the body needs to control that quickly, right? Blood sugar can't get too high because it's toxic for our body, especially for the brain. So what does the brain say? It tells the pancreas to release insulin. Let's stock up this glucose. So insulin works like a key. It opens the cell door, mainly in the muscles and liver, so that glucose leaves the blood and enters the tissues. This is all normal. The problem is when this happens excessively, because a diet rich in refined carbohydrates, sugar, and ultra-processed foods causes frequent spikes in glucose and insulin. Over time, the cells start to respond worse. This insulin faces more resistance. And that's when the body enters a dangerous cycle, more glucose in the blood, and then it can't handle it. So what does it do? It releases more insulin, and each time there is less response, which is what we call insulin resistance. So there is a very important mechanism to help you control your metabolism that many people don't even know exists. This is gold for you. It's skeletal muscle, in other words, the muscle we can contract. We have smooth muscle, which is found in the organs and which we can't move voluntarily. You can't contract your intestine or your stomach if you want to, but you can contract your arm or your leg, right? Muscle is the biggest consumer of glucose in our body. Depending on the person, it can be responsible for up to 70% of glucose uptake after a meal. Many people don't know this. Normally, this glucose entry depends on insulin, and it signals the muscle cell to open the doors and allow glucose to enter. But muscle has a unique advantage. It has a second system that works even without insulin. I'll explain this to you now. So the interesting point is that when we contract the muscle, the energy expenditure inside the cell increases, right? It draws energy. It needs energy to contract to make its movement. And then it signals to the body, I need more energy, let's pull in that glucose. One of the main mechanisms is to bring glucose into the cell through GLUT4 transporters. At rest, these transporters remain stored inside the cell. However, when a specific enzyme is activated during muscle contraction, they are moved to the surface of the muscle cell. Once there, they act like open doors, allowing glucose to enter the cell without relying on insulin. So that's the key point. We are able to create an alternative pathway for glucose to be drawn out of the blood, while insulin tries to get glucose into the cell through one mechanism. GLUT4 rises to the cell membrane and pulls in glucose more easily. So it is independent of insulin. In practice, this means that the more we contract the muscle, the more glucose you can remove from your bloodstream, which ends up being quite interesting if you have insulin sensitivity, if you need to lose weight, control your blood sugar, and so on. Besides this GLUT4 effect, there is another very interesting effect that happens after you contract the muscle. Because the muscle's insulin sensitivity is increased for a few hours after contraction. In other words, besides absorbing glucose without insulin, the muscle also starts to respond better to insulin after you contract it. This is extremely relevant to our health. Now, there's an extremely important detail regarding timing, because this effect is most effective when you move shortly after a meal, which is exactly when blood glucose levels begin to rise. Studies show that just 10 to 15 minutes of muscle contractions or light physical activity after eating can significantly reduce the post-meal glucose spike. So what kind of contraction can you do? Mainly activities that use the lower limbs because the muscle volume in the legs, glutes, calves is much greater than that of the arms, for example, right? Just put them side by side. Your arm and your leg, the leg is much bigger than the arm, as are the glutes and calves. So exercises for the lower limbs usually have a very good response. But which exercises can you do? Of course, we usually think of squats, calf raises, Standing on tiptoe and lowering down, jumping jacks, climbing stairs, these are things you can usually do for about 10 minutes. But if you are someone who is very sedentary or has some restrictions, walking can help you. Even inside your house, walking for 10 or 15 minutes in your own home already helps stimulate this GLUT4 uptake and also improves the muscle's insulin sensitivity. There's something that can further enhance this beneficial effect, and that is, of course, making appropriate adjustments to your diet. The idea of engaging your muscles right after a meal is actually incredibly important and is strongly backed by solid scientific evidence. But think about it with me. The actual impact on your blood sugar levels will be very different if you eat a big pizza, a sandwich, a hamburger, a hot dog, compared to if you eat lentils, chicken, vegetables, things that are absolutely tasty too, but far healthier. Also remember that you can make your own delicious recipes at home. Pizza, burgers, snacks. I have a lot of recipes here on the channel that are healthier, that you can make yourself at home so they don't have as much of an impact. So what I want to tell you is, the impact will be significant, but if you make changes to your diet, exercise throughout the day, not just right after a meal, if you sleep well, avoid alcohol, and take the medication your doctor prescribed, all of this will help you keep your blood sugar more stable. So exercising after eating is wonderful, but it's not a miracle. You have to help it help you. Tell me down below then if you knew about this, if you were already doing it. There are people who already walk intuitively, right? They say, after eating a lot, I'm going to take a walk to burn off lunch or dinner. And are you going to start doing this in your daily routine? Then come back here and tell me how your blood sugar turned out. I'll love to see your comment. Don't hold back. And give the video a like because that really helps me out. And if you know someone else you can help by sharing the video, do it. Let's expand our chain of kindness because that's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.